It's like a loop machine. All around town, people trying to get down. It's like a loop machine.
Let's face it, shopping for insurance can be time-consuming. That's why when it comes to your auto, home, and life insurance needs, make things simple and trust the experts at Allstate. They will help you get the coverage that fits your needs while helping you bundle your life, home, and auto policies. Bundling saves you money, sure, but it also saves you time, so you can enjoy the things that matter most even more. Contact me, Tammy Haynes, your local agent, for a free personalized insurance quote. Allstate, are you in good hands?
It's like a loop machine. All around town, people trying to get down.
Hello, this is Roy Evans with BCSN Conversations, and I have the distinct pleasure of speaking with Miss Jacqie McWilliams, the commissioner of the CIAA. Ms. McWilliams, how are you doing today?
Oh, I am doing well, Roy. Thank you. Given where we are in these conditions, I'm healthy and I'm doing very well.
Well, that's great to hear. Hope all is well with your family and friends and staff and everybody down there at the CIAA. But what we want to do, we want to start off and just letting folks find out more information about the people who are in charge of forging the future ahead for HBCU sports. And let's start off by you giving us a little bit of background, telling folks who you are, where you're from, and how we got to where you are today.
Well, thank you for asking. I was born in Colorado Springs, Colorado, military kid, lived in Germany and California. My family's from Mississippi, so spent my summers in the South. Graduated from high school in Colorado Springs, played basketball, volleyball, ran track, was a three-sport athlete, participated in state championships. Went to Hampton University on a basketball scholarship after my second year. It was my first and only school that I wanted to attend to play ball at, given their success as a basketball team, but also the academics. As I heard, Hampton was the Harvard of the South, so it sounded like a place that I wanted to go out of all the HBCUs, and I was never really familiar with Hampton, but chose to go there and get a degree in psychology, and then had the chance to go get my master's in sports management administration. And before I landed a job, I did everything except sports management, but the athletic director, who is now the commissioner at the MEAC, recommended me for a position at Virginia Union University. So I was there about 4 years as a compliance director. I head coach for women's volleyball, assistant coach for men's basketball for 1 year, but also with the women's basketball team, and the senior women administrator. I worked in the CIAA previously after I left Virginia Union for about 3 years as director of compliance and championships. I worked at Norfolk State for about a year for compliance, and then got recruited to apply for a position at Morgan State for internal operations. So I was there for almost 2 years before I had the opportunity to go to the NCAA and work in championships for almost 10 years. I left the NCAA working in Final Four, men's Final Four, for 4 years, had worked with the women's Final Four for 3 years, worked with rowing championships, gymnastics, Division III women's golf, track and field, volleyball, and so really had a well-rounded experience there in championships. So, not having March Madness is really tough for everyone, but I had the chance to work in that space and see what happens for student athletes and the experiences that are provided through those championships. And so it's been really a hard time for me, and I know many others, particularly this is the work that we do every day. So that's, Roy, is kind of the background, and I applied for this job. It was my dream job and was able to secure the position through an interview process. So here I am 8 years later.
All right. Well, cool. Well, congratulations on that. We actually, here at the network, we'd actually done some work with Mr. Carey before you, so we're glad to see that you're moving things in a great direction. Now, let me make sure something. When you were at Hampton, were they still in the CIAA?
They were. So I'm a CIAA.
Okay, wow. Yeah. Right. That's right.
Yeah.
So, like you said, dream job. That's great.
Yeah, and we won the Division II Women's National Championship in 1988. My freshman year, we won the CIAA Volleyball Conference Championship, and we won it my senior year, was all conference, Player of the Year. So I had a really good athletic experience in the CIAA. So that's why it's so special to be back and to be able to lead this conference and have the perspective as a coach and administrator, player, and had worked for the conference before. So I get it. It's
right.
A great place for me to be.
Well, we had made some comments. We'd done an interview with Commissioner Dr. McClellan over at the SWAC. And, hearing your background as we were researching some of the stuff and seeing that, I think the same thing with you that we've said about him. People like yourselves who are coming into the leadership of our conferences as HBCUs are the best thing that could have ever happened to us. And you just mentioned it. It's very good when you have someone who's now in the leadership position who not only understands it from an administrator's position at the university level, who's worked in the athletics department and had to do all of the things that they needed to do from budgeting and all that, but being able to be a former student athlete in the conference is something that a lot of people, I think, take for granted. And having that experience, has that experience helped you relate with the student athletes better, do you think?
Oh, my gosh. I mean, sometimes I put myself still in the position of a student athlete. Like, I love our student athletes. I mean, this is why we do the work that we get to do. I remember being a student athlete, and I said I would never coach because student athletes, we're crazy. As an athlete, I knew how we acted, and I ended up coaching, and it was probably one of the best things that I could have done just for the relatable and understanding how to manage and provide these students an opportunity to be beyond themselves off the court. And that's what we get to do in the work that we do, whether you're at an institution or in the conference. And so I just adore the work that we get to do for them in championships, leadership programs. We had a call with our SAC, Student Athlete Advisory Committee, this past Sunday, and they give me life. And I think we give it to them too. I think they needed to have that connection and share ideas and dream big. And sometimes we get to help make those dreams be realized. So it's an absolutely blessing and a privilege to have been a student athlete, but then to operate and try to see through their eyes. Now, they are much more advanced than we were, and so trying to keep up with that is always a challenge, but we have great interns and graduate assistants and young staff on our team that can keep us updated so that we're relevant with them every single day.
Okay, well, great. That's amazing. Like I said, those are perspectives that we, having been someone who has been engaged with HBCU sports for the past 25 years and seeing it on that personal level, it's very refreshing to see people like yourselves take hold of those positions to drive us into the future. So, with that being said, let's kind of transition into some of the things that you've got going on and that are happening at the CIAA, and let's start off with your vision. What is it that you want to see happen for the CIAA moving forward?
It's and I think everybody's kind of thinking through, today and how do we get past today to get prepared for tomorrow and the future. I think prior to COVID, the excitement about the CIAA and us managing our finances in the way that it is, watching us thrive with our partnership, having the right teams around the table, that currently still exists. I think we're trying to figure out as we get through COVID-19, what would it look like? Will we have the capacity to have the same partners that we have? Will people, our sponsors stay intact? Because everybody's making hard decisions today. And so, but the future of the CIAA, regardless of what is happening, I think the brand of who we are and what we've been able to provide in this world and the country will always sustain. And so how do we sustain, not the basics, but how do we keep this conference flourishing in a way that we are still connected to our fans, our alumni, our member institutions, and our students, and be creative in what the new normal looks like for all of us, but what it looks like for the CIAA. And so we're already in strategic planning mode. We're in it always. We're in the process of requesting our board to look at our new strategic plan, or at least our long-range planning committee is evaluating that, so that we could be prepared to get an approval for this coming summer to advance with our new strategic plan. And I think even with COVID-19, our strategic plan outlines, our strategies of making sure we're financially stable, that we have opportunities for leadership and development, that there's membership and academic growth. Those things will sustain. So I'm excited about those pieces that we outlined that may not cost a whole lot except time and resources of our teams working together. And the financial piece, we'll have to just continue to figure out the best way to make those things happen based on how we're funded as a conference.
Okay. Well, great. That's again, forward thinking is always a plus, and glad to hear that it's happening. So, one of the things, okay, great. One of the things I told you we wanted to talk about, we're going to get into, we know this year was the last year of the CIAA basketball tournament being held in Charlotte. Next year you're going to be moving to Baltimore, I believe it is. And talk to us a little bit about that move and what some of your expectations are.
We're excited about, our transition. And, again, it's just so interesting, this whole hope that we have. So right now everybody's in a standstill. But our team, the Baltimore team, we're still having some discussions about what it's going to look like, what it could be like. But we're also trying to be realistic on the timing of when we can really get ourselves back on the ground in Baltimore to start planning for this tournament. We're excited about the new opportunities that we're setting ourselves in the DMV area, as they call it, and with our member schools, Bowie State being the host institution, Lincoln not being too far, Virginia State, Virginia Union, Elizabeth City, all within that region, that will allow them to aggregate. But we do have a lot of alumni from our North Carolina schools up in this area as well. So we imagine that we'll lose some fans because some people don't want to travel to the Northeast or to Baltimore. They're concerned about weather. We're not concerned about weather as much as everybody else is. We've been studying their weather every year, as we've looked at tournament sites over the past, bid cycles, just to compare what does it look like if we went here or there. And we're finding it get a little chilly, as it does in North Carolina. They have the opportunity to have better ways of clearing snow than we do here in the Carolinas, but we're not concerned about that. But I do think there's really an opportunity to have a great event. That venue's much smaller than the one here, but we look to just building that out as best as we can to provide still in-venue experiences. They'll be different than what we've had here in Charlotte, but I think the camaraderie and the family unit that we had and that we see, like we've seen this year, won't change because that's just the CIAA tournament. This year was such an amazing tournament to end 75 years in Charlotte, where we've been here 15 years, and to watch everyone come together. And the work that we've done over the last 8 years since I've been here to really make sure that all the dots are connecting, that's what I saw, from sponsors to alumni to fans to member institutions, student athlete, and our board. And that's what I remember as a former student athlete. I think that's kind of the energy we want to take to Baltimore. So, we're not sure what the next 3 months look like, but I think we're still in the planning mode and having this dialogue with Baltimore, because right now every city is in a state of trying to evaluate how to move forward beyond this. But I think once we all get reset, we'll be ready to move forward. And what move forward looks like, we're not sure, but we'll be prepared to have those discussions.
Okay, great. And so just to kind of throw something out there for you, I don't know if you know or not, but we are, as like I said, everybody's locked in and under quarantine or stay-at-home orders now. And without the March Madness thing, we were just like, man, we need something to do. And so we did a fantasy men's basketball tournament.
Wow.
And right now we are ours is an all HBCU tournament. And right now, in the second round, Bowie State is in a match. And the voting goes through tomorrow. Right now, they are trailing Talladega. You guys were the 6th seed in your region, and so they're trailing Talladega. So we'll get that out. I'll make sure you guys get that information so you can share it out and get your fan votes to get involved in that. We'll actually be releasing the women's tournament bracket this weekend. So, like I said, we're trying to, yeah.
That's the thing. I mean, how do you, in this period of time, how are we still engaging with the people who care about HBCUs and our schools and sports and all, everything that we do? And I think this time has really given us all creative ways to think differently. And when we get out of this, I think we're all going to have to think differently. We're using all these mechanisms of not just social media, but, how we're Zooming and all those other things that makes a lot of us uncomfortable in my age and above, but we're in it, and you got to be in it. And it's just demonstrating, the resources that it doesn't take a whole lot to connect and communicate and become real creative when you're sitting still and have time to think. So I think it is a good time. It's a hard time, but I do think we all have a chance to reset ourselves and think beyond today and figure out how we can be better tomorrow in the future.
Oh, most definitely, and that's one of the things that we're striving to do here at the Black College Sports Network is just continue to find ways to grow and engage the HBCU fan base. And, like I said, these BCSN conversations are one of the ways that we want to do that. Again, for anybody that came in late, I'm speaking with Miss Jacqie McWilliams, who is the commissioner of the CIAA, also a former student athlete at Hampton University, or excuse me, is it the Hampton University or Hampton University?
Well, it's just Hampton University.
It's just Hampton University. Okay. It's HU though to you. That's what it means whenever you hear that, correct?
Yeah, well, yeah. Until you're around the Howard people, then you got to go in a debate. So it doesn't matter. We're all HBCU thriving and doing our best. So it's
there you go.
Part of the HBCU community.
All right. So one last business type question. As we are setting in, we know that the NCAA has offered an extension of another year of eligibility to all spring sports because it seemed most of those spring sports actually got canceled before they could really get started. And it's a two-part question. How does that impact you all going into this next year? How do you think from a conference perspective it'll impact you all? And then what are you guys working on, or what is your hope for what will happen with this for the fall?
Well, I'm hoping we can get past I'm going to answer that question first. I'm hoping that this COVID-19 will end soon, like today, but that's not realistic. I'm hoping that we can have fall championships where our student athletes that run cross-country, play volleyball, and our football programs will be able to have enough time to prepare for fall season. I mean, I think that's a critical piece to our academic, intercollegiate athletic culture is, our sports being able to come back. I think, but higher than that, I'm hoping that our institutions will be able to recruit students and they'll be able to open back up so that they can flourish on their campuses as we have this past spring before this happened, because enrollment means everything. And some of our institutions, athletics is part of their enrollment. So I'm hoping that that will happen. I can tell you the NCAA, conference commissioners, athletic directors, associations, everybody's working together to figure out how do we move forward, provide relief where relief needs to be had for these student athletes who lost their opportunity to participate in winter championships or lost their entire spring season. Some won't even, nobody's having graduations. So there's a whole lot of funneling. Athletics is just one component of that, of the university, but it's a huge component as it relates to the culture environment of our student athletes being a part of creating a great space of activity for all of our students and the camaraderie that it brings and the life that it brings. And so my hope is that we'll be able to restore in enough time where fall championships will happen and resources will be available for all of us to thrive.
All right. Well, cool. So the last thing we're going to do, Commissioner McWilliams, is we're going to give you the last word. What I'd like for you to do is to speak to the HBCU landscape and specifically the CIAA fan base. And what do you say to them to get them energized and excited about what is going on specifically with the CIAA?
I would tell, that's a great question. I would say, that, sports is the fabric of our communities and our world. It's the one place where we all come together. I know for the CIAA, I've witnessed it as a student athlete, as a coach, and even working at the NCAA. It's that one place where people feel that they can come together, they can celebrate, they can cheer on individuals, they can cheer on their team, where impact is made. We make a lot of community impact through our events and our championships. And so I'm hoping, as we get through this fog and this tunnel, that when we get to the other side, the light, that we all see the light that we have to share in this recovery together. It's going to take strength of alumni. It's going to take strength of our students, administrators, and leaders to come together to help our HBCUs thrive. And so when we all say we're in this together, we truly are. And it's going to take some patience. I've been preaching in my conference about being kind. Let's continue to love each other from a distance. There's social distance, but we're close enough to have respect and value each other, to support and help each other through this and when we get beyond this, to make sure that we're intentional about our conversations and communications and thoughtful about what we can do and do it better, and that we don't have to stay the same. Our giving doesn't have to stay the same. It doesn't have to stop, even through these times. What sacrifices are we really going to make in order for all of us to thrive? So we got to be intentional. The negativity that can come from any of this, and feeling isolated, or there's no hope, or there's no money, there's no jobs, I think we'll be fine. HBCUs have always thrived. I shared today with members of my board, the CIAA fought through World War II, and we may not have football championships that year, but we were still able to thrive through it and keep our brand and our name in the history of this conference. And then, lastly, I say, keep dancing to those songs that we love. Have your own homecomings through this time, because when we get out of this, it will be a party, and we will celebrate. We will be together because we've always thrived together. So that's what I would say. Continue to be kind in this space, and let's figure out how we're going to celebrate once we get through this. But in the meantime, let's be creative and supportive to manage what expectations are, because all of us are going through it. It's not one, it's all of us. And it may be different from where you are, but at the same time, I'm hoping we all land on our feet and we can celebrate the place that we love, and that's college sports.
All right, and there you have it. Once again, we are talking with Commissioner Jacqie McWilliams of the CIAA. Commissioner McWilliams, first, I want to thank you for taking out the time in your busy schedule and all the things that we know that you've got a load of things going on besides dealing with your family. But we, again, want to definitely say we appreciate you. And just to let you guys know, if there is ever anything that we can do here at the Black College Sports Network, please let us know. We are more than happy and excited to work with all of our HBCUs and conferences to make sure that we continue to grow this brand and grow the exposure from it.
Oh, thank you, Roy. Thank you for all that you guys do to keep that exposure and to make these kind of connections during this time. And definitely we will be in touch if there's anything you can do to help us continue to grow in our HBCU space, but in our conference space. So thank you so much for the opportunity, and be safe.
All right, you do the same. And everyone, thank you for tuning in, and we'll be back.
It's like a loop machine. All around town, people trying to get down.
Let's face it, shopping for insurance can be time consuming. That's why when it comes to your auto, home, and life insurance needs, make things simple and trust the experts at Allstate. They will help you get the coverage that fits your needs while helping you bundle your life, home, and auto policies. Bundling saves you money, sure, but it also saves you time, so you can enjoy the things that matter most even more. Contact me, Tammy Haynes, your local agent, for a free personalized insurance quote. Allstate, are you in good hands?
It's like a loop machine.